Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's carry on with our Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2017 Let's Play with the LA Waves or Lakers. When we last caught up, we had a fairly good start in November. I think we went about 10-4, and we had this amazing winning streak. You can see here in sort of the back end of November. Well, I mean, I've sort of simmed on another month. And it's been a bit patchy really. So you can see we carried on that winning streak into early December, getting some wins here against San Antonio and Brooklyn. We then went on a bit of a losing streak against Milwaukee, New York, Charlotte, beat Detroit, lost to the Clippers, then back-to-back wins and a couple of losses, another couple of wins, and now we're on this bit of a losing streak really, where we've lost to Memphis, New Orleans, Philadelphia and Golden State. So Philadelphia and Golden State I'd fully expect to lose to. Memphis and New Orleans was very disappointing, and we won't dive into every single game, but let's just look at the past sort of few losing ones really, and we'll just comment on those. You can see here we're sort of 16-14, so we're still in good shape. I mean, I think we're very similar to start to what we were last year now. In the fact that last year I don't think we started quite as well as we did this year, but I think we've now sort of bounced back out. I think we were a bit more mediocre last year, and we've unfortunately with the losses that we've had, we sort of dropped back down now, and we'll talk about the playoff standings shortly. But whilst this box score is loading up, unfortunately I'm not sure why, but my computer at the moment is being really slow with this game. I'll have to look at the settings probably after this episode and see whether I can sort of increase the speed of it. For some reason it seems to be really slow in playing games and loading up the box scores. So you can see here, we'll just talk about a couple of games like I said, because of the loading times are really just taking ages for me to load up box scores at the moment. So you can see here we lost to New Orleans. Obviously Anthony Davis pretty much scored us in the post with 24 points, and unfortunately our sort of duo of Gobert and Noel just couldn't match him really. We didn't shoot too well. It wasn't too bad, but you can see here they shot 59% from 3-point line, which was exceptional really, which probably made the difference. We managed to get a good selection of steals. We had quite a few turnovers. You can see here Russell didn't shoot particularly well. Clarkson had quite a few turnovers here. So did Noel, which is surprising. And we just couldn't match them really, unfortunately, and that kind of is replicated throughout the other games that we've had. I mean, I think the fast-paced offense that we're sort of trying to play is sort of working. Unfortunately, we're still not quite at Philadelphia and Golden State level, and there's still going to be some work to do there. You can see here when we sort of lost fairly close games to them. I mean, the most disappointing loss that we had in sort of this stretch that we're in now was this loss to Memphis that I'll load up in a second, losing by 3 points on the road. Obviously we've had 4 back-to-back road games, and we did go 2-2 in those, which on the scale of things isn't too bad, but it would be nice to have kept the winning streak going. And for me, I think it would be nice. Obviously, it's really nice to be in that sort of .500 record that we are at the moment. 16-14, just above that. But I think based on the personnel we've got, I was hoping for us to be a little bit more. I know I said that it'd be nice to get into the playoffs, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it would be even better if we could, be a solid playoff team. We're starting to show some signs that we can compete. Unfortunately, it seems like we're a bit patchy at the moment in this month. Obviously, we've only played 2 months of the season so far, so we'll have more of an idea when we get to sort of February time as to sort of how we are doing really. But a bit up and down at the moment in terms of this month of December. So you can see here we lost this one, and we shot fairly well. You can see the bench didn't particularly help us really. Larry Nance had a solid game as usual from the bench. So did Sean Livingston, as we expect, but Manu Ginobili didn't really help us a lot in the time he was on the court. Kirkland did a bit, but his shooting still isn't particularly great. He's still developing as a rookie. And Gasol sort of was the player of the game, and he had a fairly good game. I wouldn't say it was a massive standout game. Obviously, he had a a 16 and 19 point game, which is good for his centre. But if you look at our centres as well, Noel had 20 points, 10 rebounds, and Gobert had 14 points, 9 rebounds. So probably our post game was better than theirs, even though they had slightly more points in the paint. Really, I think the disappointing thing about this was our inability to sort of get over the line with this one. Really, you can see here we sort of had a poor first quarter. We pulled it right the way back. We then had a poor third quarter, and then we sort of managed to get a bit of a comeback in the fourth, but it just wasn't enough. And I think that's probably been the most disappointing one, like I said, because I think teams like Memphis we should be beating anyway now, on the road and at home. Really, I'd expecting us to have won that one. Obviously, there's a lot of leads, sort of a lot of lead changes in this game, 8 lead changes, but it was tied at 7 times. So you can see it was quite a close game, but I feel that talent-wise, we've got more talent than Memphis now, and that's probably on me now to try and work with the guys we've got to get them to their full potential. Obviously, like I've commented on several times before, but I think obviously in the post, Noel and Gobert are really strong for us. Ingram is obviously a really talented player. It's probably now, surprisingly actually, from this time last season, it's probably our backcourt that's probably our weakest now. The likes of Russell and Clarkson, two very good players, but on a championship team, you've got to question whether they would be starting or not. When this finally does eventually decide to load, we'll go to the roster and we'll just talk on that in a bit more detail, because I think, I know obviously it's only December, we only had a couple of months, but for me I think the big moves we're going to have to make is we're going to need to get someone who's a little bit better in the backcourt, either at shooting guard or at point guard. Russell's 20 years old. He's probably going to have a fair bit of trade value. We can probably start shopping him around to see what we can get for him, and I probably will chuck him on the block sort of after this episode really, and just see if anyone bites in terms of any other sort of teams and GMs. You can see here his defense isn't great. He's got a good stealing ability, and we've commented him to death really on every episode I think on this Let's Play, but his passing and handling is not particularly great for a point guard, and he does make a lot of odd decisions with the ball. Some nights he really lights it out and hits 30 points comfortably. Some nights he seems to be getting 6 or 7 turnovers, which you can't have for your point guard, your primary point guard anyway, which he is at the moment. We sort of giving him the benefit of the doubt and sort of hoping that he develops a little bit, but you can see here he hasn't got too much development room left. So perhaps we do want to sort of cash him in now and see what we can get for him, whether we can get that elite point guard who will sort of give us a little bit of an edge. You can see here his shooting numbers have picked up quite considerably this year. We did a lot of work with him last year in terms of his shooting percentages, and he seems to be doing fairly well from that now. He doesn't really like a lot from the right hand side in this top of the 3-point line, but you see he's on his driving, he's a lot better now. His mid-range game is a little bit iffy. Left hand side of the court is still fairly strong. So like I said, I'm probably going to put him on the trade block and just see what we can get for him. No decisions yet. He's still obviously on his rookie contract, so he's still fairly cheap for his ratings to sort of keep hold of, and we'll see what happens with him. Probably be more around the trade deadline. We look to make a move with him, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what the outcome is of this. We'll quickly flick on to Clarkson in a minute once this game finally decides to load. Sorry about this, guys. This is really annoying me at the moment, and I will have a look at the settings after this episode. It seems to have been struggling recently. So we'll take a little look at Jordan Clarkson, and we'll just comment on him as well. You can see he's still only 24. He's on a fairly reasonable contract. 11 million for his performance. He's obviously shooting fairly well this year in terms of his points per game. His actual field goal percentage hasn't really changed a lot. He is a pretty good gunner. You can see here his numbers beyond the arc are fairly good. His corner threes are pretty awful, which is surprising really, considering he's fairly good from mid-range, he's fairly good from 3. He's probably another one I'm going to start to try and shop, I think. Probably try and package it with our first round pick at the moment. See what we can get out for him. So they're probably the immediate moves I'm going to make. In terms of the other personnel, we obviously really want to try and move Mozgov's contract. Unfortunately, that Albatross contract, just no one's interested in that, unfortunately, and without taking on a sizable asset from us. So we're probably going to be stuck with him, and I'm sure we commented on that in the summer as well. I did try and move him earlier in the summer. So in terms of how we stand in terms of the conference, you can see here we're currently sitting in the seventh seed. You can see San Antonio had a pretty awful start to the season. They've jumped right the way back up here. They've been on a massive win streak, but you can see it's still Golden State who are miles ahead of everyone at the moment, and they are the ones to beat. In terms of us, I think hopefully we can push on and sort of compete in this middle pack. Really, that'd be a good aim for us over the next few months. You can see here, Golden State, I've just noticed, on a winning streak of 20. That's just insane. For us though, we're 7th seed, we're still hanging on in there. We've had a bit of a down month really. We had a really good winning streak towards the sort of the back end of November, start of December, and we haven't managed to sort of get the momentum from that. If we take a little look at the East now as well, you can see Boston still the number 1 sort of seed here at the moment. Surprisingly, Cleveland, who've still got LeBron James, are struggling here. Philadelphia sort of jumped above them now. Then you've got the likes of Milwaukee, who we did mention last year, who Giannis was out for most of the season, and they were a lottery playoff team, and I said that was going to be their absolute godsend this year, because they had a top pick and they had Giannis, and they're obviously making a massive impact this year in the East. We'll take a look at their roster in a second. We'll just comment on that, and you can see obviously the back end of the playoffs, not a lot really to talk about. Probably a surprising one is Brooklyn sort of jumping into the playoff seed at the moment, so we'll see how that one plays out. But you can see here Giannis is back, he's healthy, and I think it was Kevin Murray was the one that they picked up in the draft, but we'll just talk on Giannis here since he's back, and just comment on his stats. This guy, if I can ever get him to LA, I will make the move for him, because his stats are absolutely amazing. You see he's a fantastic defender, shot blocker, rebounder. He's really, really good passer of the ball for his size, really good scorer. And you can see here just across this is like LeBron James-esque really. 28.7 points, 7 assists, 8 over 8-9 rebounds a game, 2 steals and 2 blocks, which is just incredible. You can see here he's only 22. He's obviously on a massive deal, so the chances of us getting him, because Milwaukee have locked him in, are pretty remote. I will try and see. I'll always have a look, but you can see here he's just been doing really well for Milwaukee. I think he's been playing point guard for them, yeah. So he's been playing primarily in the point guard position. The other rookie, you see here, we'll bring him up as well, and we'll talk about him. Kevin Murray, we'll just see how he's been doing. So he was the number 1 pick. They had the number 1 pick last year. He's been doing okay. I mean, he's a really good scorer. He's probably been helping him out a little bit. He's got some good range. He's not a great defender, but he can steal the ball pretty well. So they're probably playing quite a high intensity defence, I imagine. Probably a lot of pressing of the ball to utilise that stealing ability they've got with Giannis and Murray. But they've also obviously got the likes of Greg Monroe, Jabari Parker as well, who seems to be injured at the moment. So, they've also been doing really well. But like I've said, guys, the team to beat is this Golden State team. I mean, this roster is pretty immense, really. They've got the likes of Curry, Hill, Durant, Green, and Randolph. You can see here that they've got. Randolph was one of their signings, I think, in the off-season. He's been playing centre for them. So they've basically got a little bit of an upgrade, I would probably say, at centre. They had Zaza Pachulic playing for them last year. I mean, Randolph's obviously come towards the twilight of his career. His defence isn't particularly great, but he doesn't really need to have great defence. If he could give them something offensively in there, to compensate for the likes of Green and everyone else sort of playing beyond that sort of arc position. They're going to be dangerous, and they've proven it so far this year. For us, I think, if we look at our roster quickly, I've already commented on the guards. I won't talk too much about them. The disappointing one so far for me has been Manu Ginobili. I thought that, he obviously took a punt with him. He's only a minimum deal, so we can always cut him if needed. But I was hoping we'd get a little bit more out of him. I know he's 39 now. He's at the end of his career. His stats were still fairly strong though. But he hasn't quite done it for us yet. So he may be one that we look to try and upgrade as well, or look to maybe we give Nick Young a run. I don't know, but I was expecting a little bit more from Manu Ginobili, and he hasn't quite done it. I was hoping he'd just do a little bit in 10 to 12 minutes on when he comes on, and we sort of commented he hasn't done it yet for us. We'll have a little look at his shooting percentages and see whether that's sort of had a massive drop off as well. He's 39 years old. It was a gamble. It was a minimal risk gamble because of his minimum salary. But I was hoping, that it would be okay. Because of the defense. Really, I think I got a little bit too blinded by that possibly. I just felt that even if he came on and gave us a bit of defense, he would be better than nothing. So unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's been the case. And this thing is taking ages to load again for some reason. When it actually decides to load, we'll comment on it. I don't know why it's taking so long. Okay, so we're probably not going to talk about his shooting stats. This is just taking ages to load now. I don't know why. Go back to the roster, I think, if we can. Oh, there we go. Find load up just as soon as I click the close button. But we can quickly see his numbers. He's not shooting too bad. From beyond the arc, he's not particularly great. The corner three is still really good. His mid-range game is still excellent. He's not shooting the ball too much though, so that might be why. He's not doing too well at the basket. I would expect him to have a higher percentage there. So maybe his shooting numbers have dropped off a little bit. Perhaps we need to work a way to see whether when he comes on, whether we can give him more mid-range opportunities. Perhaps I'm not too sure with that. So we'll go back to the roster, and I'll probably just talk on the roster from the main page rather than go into any sort of player profiles, unfortunately, today, because it's just not being particularly great today, the actual game loading up. So you can see here that obviously, in terms of our personnel, Ingram's injured. He's got a sore arm, I think, so he'll probably play through that. In terms of guys and sort of where we are with them, I think Noel's doing well and Gobert are doing well. Mozgov will try and move. Black will try and move. Zubac, I will comment on his D-League stuff. He hasn't done anything particularly great. We'll probably try and move him. Nance Jr. we'll probably want to keep him. He's still on a cheap contract for his performance. Kirkland will probably keep and develop unless we can get a star upgrade really. Ingram, I think he's been doing very well, but I'm a little bit worried about his injuries. He's had a couple of knocks now. Obviously had that injury last year. I think it was his broken elbow, wasn't it? I think, if I remember rightly, which put him out for a couple of months, and he's been a bit in and out of injuries since last year really. So we might try and see if we can move him. Harrelson hasn't really done a lot in the D-League, so we'll leave him as is. Nick Young, we'll try and move that contract. It is an expiring deal, so see what we can get for him. Clarkson, like I've already commented on. Livingston's been doing fairly well for us in his minimum contract, so we'll probably keep him. I've been quite impressed with him from the bench. Huertas is obviously on a minimum deal. We'll try and move him if we need to, but he's not going to play for us, and he hasn't got any stats that really stand out for us. And then, like I said, with Russell, we'll try and see what we can do with him. So I think I'm going to leave it there today, guys. It's a little bit shorter than normal. Unfortunately, because the game's playing up, I can't flick through the rosters and things as quickly as I normally would. Well, I'll probably sim through until the start of January, mid-January probably. See whether I can make any moves off camera. Like I said, to try and upgrade this backcourt to give Gobert and Noel a little bit more support, and we'll see how we go from there. I think we've made some positive strides. We're definitely a lot better team than we were this time last year. We've got some really good, promising younger guys. So we'll hopefully develop them, add a little bit more talent to them, and hopefully we'll come around to a sort of trade deadline, end of the season. We'll be in the playoffs. We'll hopefully be able to make a bit of a push then, and see how we get on. Golden State are still that team to beat though. They've got that incredible team, and it's going to be tough for us. But that is the aim, is to win a championship with this Let's Play, and hopefully we'll achieve that over the next few years. I don't anticipate us winning it this year or next year, probably the year after. But I'm hoping we can make some steady progress to get there. That's kind of it for now. As always, if you've got any comments or thoughts on what we should be doing with the waves, any sort of guys that you think, oh my goodness, we should be looking at these personnel, or move Russell, don't move Russell, the guard position's not as bad as you think, Coach Fury, obviously chuck it down in the comment section. As always, if you've enjoyed the Let's Play, enjoying watching it, you can hit that thumbs up button and that subscribe button, which will allow you to follow the episodes as they come out as soon as they hit my channel.